Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. We round out this Monday show. We've got Monday Night Football to end out Week 11 tonight in Dallas between the Texans and the Cowboys. 8 games in the association and some college hoops here now on the official 2-week anniversary of the start of the 2024-25 college basketball season. Again, as we get closer and closer to Thanksgiving, exactly a week from Thursday, 10 days away, we will get some better non-conference matchups. Tuesdays, we've got some good games as well. Last Friday, a ton of great non-conference action. On this Monday, a couple of gems in there for sure, like the one late night tonight in San Diego as SDSU, the Aztecs, play host to number 4 Gonzaga. San Diego State, 11.5-point home underdog against this Zags team. Of course, the Aztecs in the last few years have been an NCAAA tournament contender, a Final Four team 2 seasons ago with Brian Dutcher as the head coach. Still expected to factor into the Mountain West championship conversation throughout this season, but Gonzaga, top 5 team in the country for a reason. The Zags an 11.5-point road favorite. Auburn into the top 5 as well. We'll get that updated AP poll later this afternoon as well. 27.5 in favor of the Tigers against North Alabama. Now, the Tigers, a really strong team to start this year for Bruce Pearl there on the Plains. A team to pay attention to. Iowa State off to a great start, 35.5-point favorite. Arkansas laying 24.5 at home in Bud Walton against Pacific. Michigan, first year with Dusty May, trying to figure some things out in the rotation. 22.5-point favorite against MAC competition, Miami of Ohio tonight. That game, of course, inside the Chrysler Center. And then a really good matchup between 2 mid-major teams. McNeese, the favorites out of the Southland. Of course, we mentioned them a few times. They have played in a strong non-conference schedule to begin this year. Season opener against South Dakota State, one of the favorites in the Summit League. Then last week on a Monday, taking on Alabama. Now, the Crimson Tide did lose on Friday night inside Mackey Arena against Purdue, but we know Alabama is going to be a strong team this year. That game against the Tide for Will Wade and his Stangs stayed under. I expect this game to stay under tonight as well. When you look at the Mean Green, who already has a power conference victory on the docket against Minnesota. Now, the Golden Gophers and Ben Johnson expected to be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. That's okay. North Texas still won that game 54-51. Very slow pace for UNT and really solid on the defensive end of the floor. 130.5 is that total tonight for North Texas taking on McNeese State. So as we look elsewhere around the country, just to present some of what we are seeing early on this year, let's go around the country where the national championship odds are very early on this season in college basketball. Of course, we're just a week removed from the Champions Classic last Tuesday in Atlanta when Kentucky made a statement knocking off the talented freshmen of Duke, and yet the Blue Devils still remain with the second best price to win a national crown at 11-1 alongside Gonzaga in action tonight. Great early non-conference test against San Diego State. Auburn, that top 5 team, 4th best price at 12-1. If Duke has moved back from that favored number where they were to begin this season and entering last Tuesday in the Champions Classic, first loss this year for the Dukies, who now is that favorite? It would be the 2-time reigning national champs in Connecticut, UConn, 10-1 right now to win its 3rd consecutive national title. It will be a narrative and a storyline that filters through this college basketball season. Can UConn go back to back to back? Unlike we have seen in the history of college basketball since the late 60s into the early 70s, when John Wooden's UCLA program won 7 consecutive national championships from 1967 until 1973. A strong start this year for UConn. They continue to roll in non-conference play. But as we approach Thanksgiving, that's when some of these non-conference matchups get even better into early December. Our first sprinkling of conference games through the new year, of course, as well. Updated AP Top 25 out in college basketball later this afternoon. College football playoff rankings for the third straight week tomorrow on a Tuesday. It's a good time of year in college sports. That does it for this Monday on the Early Line. The show returns tomorrow on a Tuesday starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Talk to you then.